Well, let's see. Let's see
ready.
where we're going for Battleground number 2 and who's going to take control of this. Octalysis. No Tomorrow opts for first pick, which means that Octalysis, they're taking us to Volskaya. What else? Basically, at this point, it's what's next. What is up your sleeve, Octalysis? They clearly had a strategy that time. Is it a matter of counter-drafting towards a Deckard? Is it a matter of we think this works no matter what? Only time will tell, and as you said, all respect towards No Tomorrow, but they are a team that has been struggling. Yep. They're a team in transition. They still have the talent. It's there. If they get it together in the series, it's great. But we do have to put a buffer on how much impact this will actually have, because for now, game number 1, it happened.
I think it's sad that it kind of goes in both directions, purely based on the fact that this is so early in gauging the power levels since we ended up having that break from the 2 teams, because it is now this new meta, new mentality Octalysis versus the, again, struggling and trying to find themselves, and now through a huge shift to be able to get that moment of recovery. It is very difficult, again, to identify which one. And for me, I looked at it as, if I was to give a percentage, 25% the composition, 75% No Tomorrow struggling to be able to just deal with Medivh, which should, in the Western scene, Medivh is going to be here. They know how to be able to handle that. So it felt more No Tomorrow trying to find themselves.
What we're going to see as this draft unfolds, we know that at the Western Clash, Draded really stepped up his game. The Medivh Maiev plays, as that started to become more meta as teams prepared for the Western Clash. They saw it during scrims, things of that nature. So we definitely saw a shift around those 2 heroes where we didn't see a lot of it during the first part of Phase 2, but I imagine we'll see a lot more of it going forward. And Octalysis, if Maiev isn't banned in their first pick, are they willing to commit to the likes of a Maiev and around that? But first ban, No Tomorrow is going to take out Diablo.
At this point, I normally would say something along the lines of expecting a high priority into one of the Warriors, mainly the Muradin, because that has been such a go-to for North America. But because Team Octalysis doesn't draft the Warrior so far in the series, I don't know if that's a fair assessment. I will say, if No Tomorrow is concerned with what they just dealt with, 2 major elements I would take away. Number 1, Yrel is a huge enabler to those compositions. Number 2, Medivh is a huge enabler to those. I would argue Medivh's a bigger problem out of those 2, you know, especially because I would say No Tomorrow's probably more comfortable running the Yrel than they are the Medivh. So that's what I like to see. But the fact that they don't ban it here shows that they've got to at least be comfortable addressing that wild flavor once more.
If this was our meta in every game, I'd probably be like, nah, but since it's like one team coming in with this, like, give me that wild flavor every game. You know I like my wild picks, Dread.
I enjoy them until you go far enough through the tournament to where it starts struggling, and then it's like, is that all we had? That's where I normally go with those. Like, I enjoy the flavor in the moment. Like, I eat it up, right? But then it's like, I always know, but eventually there's a bigger opponent waiting down the line, and I go, I'm not sure it holds up to that. So it'll be interesting to see, though. We get the route taken away. Medivh could be an option for Octalysis. I personally think that if, again, based on this theory of we want the flavor, I would love just Medivh anything in this rotation. I'm ready for it. You want to be really problematic, maybe.
By the way, I don't think Whitemane had a single win in North America yesterday.
No, she didn't, but we
today,
just got one.
We get one.
With, again, without the Warrior. So is that more Yrel, or is that in fact a or excuse me, a Whitemane problem, or is that in fact again the unique lack of Warrior? We do get the Medivh, so already if your team No Tomorrow at this point in view, you just go, we have to find a way to be able to deal with this. I think the biggest thing is making sure that you aren't very vulnerable to those kind of dives in the same manner they were in the last game. Malfurion's pretty effective at dealing with that with the root coming out from the portal. Raynor, just a pretty generic top damage dealer within the meta.
But sometimes I have some inside info. I don't know what this draft is evolving into, but I know what it could potentially evolve into, and I'm just...
Is it Cheese City?
Oh, of course.
Is it
of
Swiss?
Course.
Does it have a lot of holes?
There are no holes.
There's no holes. It's just a dense cheese brick.
It's just a matter of how stanky it is.
Like
Garganzola. It's not even stanky. It's like, you got that stanky cheese.
Okay. My goodness, Jay out here teaching us the cheese game, ladies and gentlemen. You know, never did I think I would get up on the panel and be taught how to cheese in Heroes from another commentator.
I mean, I got plenty.
Whitemane banned out. Does that give you any more here?
I can't give away like lead-ins.
I'm just saying,
you leak potential.
You poke the beast, and now I gotta know. Because at this point, Octalysis go I mean, it feels like in any direction with their composition, they have not committed to anything. There's no major holes. I feel like when looking at Urel's composition, or the Urel composition of No Tomorrow, Deckard not moving too heavy here. Probably a slow mage DPS. Nope, back to the Zool game. Here we go.
This is the thing. Zool does struggle until level 7 in sustain points because he does get the cooldown reduction at level 4, which is nice.
Yeah.
But it's not until you get the heal at level 7 where your Curse Strikes really feel impactful. It also brings up the how many people are on the front line. I don't think Zool really works. I think you have to have the Medivh. There's no world because Zool just struggles.
Not only does he struggle with survivability, but the entire team would not be able to catch a majority of the 2-second bone prisons because the portal is coming online. So it's like, not only is he helping Zool survive, he is just straight up helping the rest of the team capitalize on what is one of the few longest remaining CCs ever since the old school stun nerf kind of came in across the board.
Man, I remember that.
Yeah,
like
0.25.
Everybody.
Except for like Leap and one other one. I don't remember.
It was just like a full blanket. It was like January or February 2016. Never forget.
Last pick. It's Cassia. No primary warrior once again. The Medivh Zool reigns supreme here for Octalysis.
Well, we saw Backlash last time for Zool, which, again, it is a large chunk of damage. That 12% damage is nothing to scoff at when you look at the tanky warriors that we have. Urel and Muradin have very similar health pools, right around the 2,700 plus range on base health. And so it does chunk out a large percent of damage there. But when you have Phoenix and Raynor on the other side, that is double auto attacks. You have a blind from Cassia, which helps. But you do have the ability to dodge basic attacks if you so choose with that level 1 pick. So I am curious if we see any adaptation whatsoever now looking at the other side between two auto attackers.
Yeah, into I believe it's like Shade is the name of it. Or, yeah, to be able to get the dodge onto in the evade on the auto attacks. That is a good point. In this type of situation, I would actually expect that level of an adjustment, even though that got nerfed, time and time again. The only argument, if we do end up still seeing it, I think it has to do with the fact that Medivh enables backlash damage and likely to get the kill, because you get the 25 vulnerability with the 12% mixed with the portal and the portal damage coming out. It's a big burst.
I'm really curious. If you get backlash plus arcane explosion with a salvo, you just walk in and Zool, 12% burst damage plus the arcane explosion damage. I want to see some health bars.
I don't think you see any health bars after that. That's the problem. You get the scan noise, you get the first 2 pew-pews out of the 5, and then the rest of them just don't even count because you dead.
Backlash again. Who cares about auto attacks? I've got a Deckard. I've got a Medivh. It's fine. I get a shield.
Charge strikes, the pickup there at level 1 for Cassia. One of the best level 1 talents in the entire game. Probably, we talk about, damage output of Fen being one of the highest, but Charge Strike alone is one of the highest damage outputs just flat out, not only throughout all scaling of the game, but especially when looking at level 1s.
8 full seconds, 20-second cooldown, so not down by that much as Jin, boy, he's struggling in these early engagements. I mean, the Leoric, obviously, we know is more squishy. Urel will be able to self-heal throughout that, but
JR, that fight, I think, highlighted a very good point of, honestly, really great value that we've seen from Octalysis in the last game and this one, but I didn't realize how successful and good they were, I guess, at it up until that skirmish. And their focus fire is swift.
Yeah.
It's very swift. Notice how every single time somebody gets out of position, they do not waste very much time to be able to get any of the cooldowns on top of it. And I know normally we see, that kind of trade-off. But what I'm trying to say is Octalysis is far more efficient with it. So much so that I feel like a lot of what they're doing and getting away with is purely, it's not the rotations or anything like it. It's just how much pressure they're putting out. And No Tomorrow is not respecting that at all. They're going from, oh, I expect this to be a 50% trade to I'm a 20 to 15, which is a back or a tap. And that is a cooldown that really matters, especially when looking at these lanes. So something that, I want to keep track of as this game moves on, because if No Tomorrow identifies that, they might be able to bait a couple of cooldowns.
Yeah, Nature's Cure in particular, that's a long cooldown when you compare it to the basic abilities of just that Bone Prison. We see the Octalysis spray, obviously the cheer system, fully active out there. You can cheer and obviously get your favorite sprays and in-game goodies. Also, we got cheer bombs available now, Dreadnought, which if you cheer 1,000 bits, you get a couple loot chests, but you also...
spread the love.
8 random people in chat also have a chance for some loot as well, which is pretty neat.
It is pretty neat to be able to spread the love there. Party with the friends.
Crowan better be in chat. Much love all around there.
just strongly suggest everybody ride the Gen G mount along with the Gen G spray because it's beautiful. That's just my current kind of infatuation every time I get into the world of solo queue here. Support camp is going to be contested. 4 versus 5 here. Team Octalysis have 5-man member where Urel nowhere to be found for a while. Scroll the ceiling's going to lock down 4. A lot of damage there on the Casanova. He has to door toss out, but Jin comes in there with the Urel, hits the hammer, locking away 4. Bone Prison will lock down him for 2 more seconds. Will the damage be there? The answer is yes. First blood for Octalysis and a support camp behind it.
Everybody put everything that they had into that because both turrets went down in that fight. All the mana, all the health was used. We do have the tap there. Goku coming back. Deckard forced a Hearth back there, but neither team was backing down from that fight. It was a test of will. And again, I go back to your point from game number 1, Dread, where it's been forever since we've seen any type of Zul in the meta.
Yeah.
So it's like understanding your trade and the outcomes of everything. Yes, you experienced it in game 1, but trying to figure out exactly the impact that this style has is uniquely different.
It is. It is. It's very difficult to kind of express. You know, I feel like that's one of the cruxes. Hold up. Justin out a little bit too far. Force of Will and the portal are going to be dropped there. He gets rooted and knocked back by Tomster. But talking about the knockback, Jin finds himself a knockback onto Prisma, forcing him to escape there through the portal. 39% has been obtained here for Octalysis. But now No Tomorrow with the man advantage, looking to move up and pick up some for themselves. What I was going to say, Jay Howe, is just to highlight some of the difficulties of like conveying, you know, that information to the audience here. Is what I wanted to say is purely off of that top lane fight, and we saw over that support camp that momentum swing. Cassius sat over double everybody else's damage within this game. I cannot highlight how ridiculously strong her early game DPS is or charge strikes is relative to most heroes in the game. She has, I mean, Illidan level of skirmishing trades is starting as early as level 1, and I know I say that as Illidan 4 out of the meta, but I'm talking even old school Illidan where he literally would bully you 1v3. She is trading up so hard here, and it's a large reason that we saw a majority of that percentage, but No Tomorrow with the skirmish, able to fight back here. It's now forcing Octalysis to make another play. It's going to start with Jin here, eating a root.
For now they hold, but there's another fantastic route by Buds as he locks in multiple members, even forcing out that biotic emitter. That's going to allow No Tomorrow to stay on point, at least momentarily, as that starts to expire. There's going to be another route coming in, buying time as we see the Dwarf toss out. Overtime is now over, and now control trying to be obtained here by Octalysis, and it looks like they might be successful. Indeed they are.
Nobody's making the rotation up towards top, so No Tomorrow will look for a reinitiation now that they've cleared the middle wave. They have the information advantage. Goku unable to land the jet propulsion. Thompson are looking to move up as the root does land there from Akaface. Portal is already going to be taken. 4-man hammer hit there by Jin. As the focus is now going to go on to him. He gets locked down by the root, and that is the kill here for Octalysis. Force of Will used, Raiden able to keep himself alive. Goku lands that jet propulsion, and Octalysis pick up the 2 kills and the protector.
Dread, I am terrified of anything that has a shield on it in this game. I watched Justin get down to about half health, pops that backlash, walks in and says, come at me. And Jin, his health bar exploded. Drayden started to fall in the middle of that. He's like, you know what? I got level 7. It's time to explode on somebody. He walks directly into the team fight. I'm like, oh, he might not make it out alive. There's no portal here. And then all of a sudden, pop goes the health bars of No Tomorrow, and Team Octalysis full level lead starting to establish control. We'll have level 10 at the tail end of this. This is full control.
It feels almost, dare I say, combustion-esque on the way that they are approaching this fight with Zul. A lot of the team fight is very much just relying on the shielding mixed with the AoE damage opportunities that they're going to have out there and just waiting until somebody overextends a little bit too much, get the crowd control out, and then just find the kill there. The long sustained fight has just been unwinnable here so far for No Tomorrow. And with the advantages gained through those kills that Octalysis got, they pick up that protector, and more importantly, the huge advantage in experience after taking out the top 4. This is minimum another 4 on the battleground if Octalysis would like to make it. So we'll see what they end up doing. Support camp, and it looks like, you know, kind of weaponing up here for the next control point is the safer choice for Octalysis.
Well, no combustion.
Sad days.
I mean, you still got that protection, but Ball Lightning, no Valkyrie here. We do see Buds waiting to pick his time. I like the Lornado pickup. Obviously, you're going to wake just about everybody up. You want to try and get into position, but I think their strength really lies in just creating chaos in these team fights. If they can get that type of control, get maybe the disengage if needed, there's so much. And you mentioned that weaponing up. With that 10-tier advantage, it's close for No Tomorrow, but it's not close enough as Octalysis comes in here. They're taking the turret. They are fully weaponized as they start to prepare for the next control point.
It's full death ball here, it feels like, with the composition that Octalysis does have. It's going to be cool to see what use we get out of the Skeletal Mages. I was wondering originally if there was any crowd control in CC that they were looking to try and wear, but hold up. Invade coming here. Outside of Casanova with that Murden Stormbolt, not too many resources available. It's going to be a full 4 versus 4. Look at the 1 versus 1. Jay Shrike versus Justing in the corner. He already popped the Shade. He needs that Force of Will and the portal. He will be able to escape thanks to that portal again from Draded, but definitely a sketchy moment there for Octalysis.
Yeah, well, Shrite, again, the timing of things, look, we all have internal clocks. Like, you play the game enough in your internal clock, you don't have to know the time. Like, you can tell me, hey, this is 2 seconds. I'm like, okay, well, I just know the way it feels, right? And there's a feel that you have when you play the game enough. But when you don't play against it enough, that root, you could see him start to warp out.
He's struggling to figure out when the end of that weird growl is going to come through on that Bone Prison. Yeah, that should not be happening. I very much...
Akapace.
Way out too far there. Great play coming out from Buds with that Lornado. Now Prismat, he is not done yet. Full retreat from No Tomorrow with the Herodic Cube landing. Will be able to allow No Tomorrow for a free escape, but Octalysis, much like game 1, once they got control, it does not look like they are letting go. Full manipulation here on the battleground and just looking for picks wherever they can.
I don't know whether I'm seeing the birth of a new meta or just absolute chaos happening. I mean, the threat of a portal is forcing Shrite to warp out. I mean, they don't want anything. Taking a fight under a fort is no problem for Octalysis right now.
It's one of the beauties of Medivh compositions in general, but not even considering the fact that they have Bunker, which is also one of the best diving spells in the entire game. A lot of people underestimate Zul's ability to be able to dive, and understandably so, considering how far out of the meta he is, but also with the Skeletal Mages.
I mean, you killed their minions, and you spawn your own Skeletal minions, and all of a sudden you've got fodder for the fort.
He's literally almost a Nubarak-esque in that. As long as you got a minion wave, he's going to be able to produce enough for himself to be like, well, doesn't really matter. And again, that's not considering the failsafe known as Bunker.
When you say it doesn't really matter, would you say nothing really matters?
Nothing really matters to me, yeah.
Or would you say maybe you've sang that song?
Maybe.
As recently as maybe some karaoke in Korea? That's right. I got to hear Dread's singing voice just last weekend.
This is embarrassing. I didn't think I'd be put on blast.
Oh, no, putting on blast would be playing the video that I have on my phone.
Yeah.
Which might air later today.
39% has been picked up here for Octalysis. No Tomorrow, though, as they are rounding the 13, that is when they need to bring the fight. And J-Hal, if they do not control this point B, or at least gain some kind of minor victory here, we're looking at 16 into 14 window, 2-level advantage with the Protector, minimum keep. It is a big, big problem. This is a massive breaking point for No Tomorrow, and I can't let up. They got to be able to find a way to bring this fight here.
Well, they're going to do it with the Bionic Emitter along with them. 99% is established here. There's going to be the jet propulsion out. Octalysis, they are a full level away from 16. Might be impossible to get that, but we do see Zul on the minimap pushing that bot lane, making sure to get that split lane push. Again, those skeletal defenders, or those skeletal minions that you gather, it just eats so much damage. And if you can get a fort down, something of that nature, I mean, Zul's positioning is even trying to deny experience through that bot lane. See, hey, you want to come through here? I'm just going to bone prison you and walk away. So everything that they're doing is around the map control now as they look to try and get 16 and maybe a pick.
Good attempt there, but Draded eats the Stormbolt. He's going to have to force a will and take the portal out. Jay Shrite ends up throwing it down. That salvo locks down 2. Skeletal Mages is there along with the Bone Prison onto Jay Shrite after the Twilight Dream, but the lockdown is too real here. First member to drop is Phoenix. Jet propulsion gets interrupted by Tomster. T-God there with that penetrating round, but there comes the portal out. Casanova is now the victim. As you see the root thrown down there, Casanova actually able to keep himself up, and now Prismat needs to kite away. I don't think he can make it out here. Force of will.
He's got the Biotic emitter.
Medivh in a couple of seconds here.
Dude, as all of them made their way through that portal, it was like a flock of ravens going through there with that level 4 pickup. Speaking of rooted, Ardent Defender, this is a 2-minute cooldown. You have nowhere to retreat to, Jen. You are locked in here. That is another takedown. Team Octalysis' 2-level lead. They're establishing that control. And oh, by the way, they've got themselves another protector.
I definitely feel like that moment right there is very much the growing pains that we can see from No Tomorrow here with some of the adjustments to try and figure it out there. Because you know the comms were hold on to this with the Ardent Defender as long as we can. Okay, this isn't going to work. Back out. Vin, you know, or sadly ends, or Jin, excuse me, sadly ends up being the victim of that situation. But communication across the board here has definitely been a bit split from No Tomorrow, and now Octalysis here. Pretty much the world is theirs. I will say that this is the second protector from Octalysis that I feel like, even though they're being more proactive with this one, I wasn't too impressed with how much they made happen in the last one. And I feel like they could have been a little bit more kind of aggressive with the rotations here this time. By no means are they, you know, kind of playing too passive to set them back, but it's one of those for our international performing teams, how much can we ask of them?
If you get a root from the protector, look for the portal in, some type of control. Casanova forced a dwarf toss out. Again, you have that armor reduction at 16. We saw Zul prep that mid lane, force a response there. Now they've got all these minions here. They've got all kinds of control. They've got 16 talent to your advantage and the threat of a kill to keep about half health. They get it locked down for now, seeing how much more they can get out of this, but No Tomorrow, they're holding their ground for now.
They are holding very, very well here and actually maybe going out a little bit too far. One thing to keep in mind is that this bottom keep is not something they can contest. They can't take fights for a long while. And something that sometimes you'll do as the team kind of aggressing there when you know your objective is getting weak is feigning weakness so that No Tomorrow gets out into a risky position to take a fight, and that is where you get the initiation. For instance, over this turret camp.
Desperate times might call for desperate measures because you will risk that 20-tier fight. No Tomorrow not willing to risk it just now, not quite at 16, so they're going to fall back. They are down 3 levels as well, which is definitely nothing to sneeze at because that amount of scaling between those 3 levels, it's just way too much to overcome, including that 16-tier deficit and a choke point versus a Lornado versus the Skeletal Mages, everything that Octalysis can throw at them. It actually terrifies me just to look at it.
It is going to be very difficult, and how to approach these fights for No Tomorrow are definitely something's got to be able to mix it up. The left to right here are dealing with the Cassia Blind, Zul with the Bone Prison, the Medivh portals, and that's not even counting the scroll ceiling there, and the Lornados thrown out from Buds. I can't help but feel like they've got to find a way to get a flank in some way, shape, or form. Maybe, you know, have Urel there, Jin, maybe look for a major flank. I say that, but then you see the little Raven hovering above, and you always know, and it's so much more difficult whenever you have pretty much just a free scouting ward above you at all times.
Just if it was a Crow and we've got full Hallow's End. Oh, wait a minute. We're just, you know what? Let's go in for a fight. There's going to be a polymorph. We've got the root. We've got the lockdown on the front side, but that is Ardent Defender out for now. Ball Lightning starting to bounce back and forth, and Jin, he's going to get blown up. Twilight Dream in return, but it's not going to buy enough time as we're going to see another portal. Akapace, he's going to get locked down. This is going to be a double kill, and Tomster trying to hold position, but the slow is there, and Octalysis coming out firing. They said no need to wait till 20. Let's just come out and see who we can blow up. And right now, they're making that happen easily.
Now they're in a situation where they don't even really have to wait for the minions if they want to like. Justin's going to go back, get the clear, make sure he uses that passive to get as many minions as possible. And Octalysis take advantage here over this bottom keep and the whittling away that they had done before. This will give them the 20 spike. And No Tomorrow cannot stick around this whatsoever. Otherwise, there will be a portal on that back end and an all-in initiation.
He's got that manual portal locked, and that will put the fear in you. I can tell you, Medivh, I mean, that was one thing when I heard from pro players before. It was like, it's almost unfair because you can see it and it's like puts the fear in you, right? It's almost unfair that you could see where it's at, but it also instills fear of like, look, he could lock this portal. You could do that anyways, right? But when you have the manual placement at level 1, it's just, do we even dare step forward? And No Tomorrow did not.
Sadly, that question still holds, J-How. Do No Tomorrow step forward? Because control point C without, oh, look at the portal plus the polybomb. Jay Shrite not able to warp out of that one. And Team Octalysis using that Medivh portal and getting the all-in initiations here will end up getting that 40-second advantage without Jay Shrite. And inevitably will be minimum this bottom protector. No keep on the bottom half of the battleground. Even if No Tomorrow is split pushing this entire time, they will not be able to confidently pick up 20 and take this fight over that bottom keep. So it feels like this is, you know, maybe the straw that broke the camel's back.
Those Ravens are terrifying. Every time they take that portal through, it is just terrifying to go through. Also, we have healing reduction at level 20 picked up. Akaphase, he's stuck in the back line. We do see the polymorph. That's going to lock down one. Get one, take down Prismat, trying to come in to get another, while we do see Malfurion and Raynor both fall. There's another lockdown, the root follow-up, and that is going to be Casanova. 4 members down as Phoenix starts to come up. That's a triple right there. And this is Octalysis just running it.
Pretty much doing whatever they want here. And at this point, just waiting out some of the percentage while the rest of the 4 members of Octalysis burn no more time, rid of these minions, convert them over to their side, get rid of the well to make sure those catapults do not get a little distracted. And it looks like this is going to be GG. Game number 1 here on Dragonshire was very dominant, but game number 2, no different. Medivh Zul carrying the show here in impressive fashion. It is not through macro manipulation. It is not through just, again, being so oppressive by painting the battleground red. It is through team fighting and kills that they are bullying No Tomorrow.
So Medivh likely won't get let through next game because there's no way I let Medivh through for game number 3. Look, at this point, another showing like that, and I'm convinced. Look, yes, we're still trying to keep it all into perspective, but my goodness. The Prismat on Cassia, you mentioned that charge strikes, just destroyed the damage numbers that game.
I am going to proceed to be the negative Nancy on this, and I'm going to highlight the fact that there's a phrase we always say. It is literally the slogan of Medivh, is that he cheats. He breaks the ways and that compositions and things of the game can function. Like, if we had 2 Medivhs, I'm not sure what happens if they go on the same team. Like, do you see what I'm saying in terms of power level of a character? I cannot describe how different of a level of playstyle he provides for the competitive level, and that all of this, you were saying how much hinges on the Medivh. A lot of comps get away with things because of Medivh, is what I'm trying to say here. So I can't help but wonder. I agree. I want to be sold just as much, and I'm like, oh, it's looking better than I thought. But I want to go, again, based on the first thing that we said, is, well, these compositions struggle whenever they get pushed against the wall, and that you need to have a lot of them. Because all this takes right now, bam, Medivh, and your composition falls apart, and a lot of the other things that fall into this playstyle. So what I'm saying is we need more things that replace the Medivh and still creative of a playstyle for me to, again, kind of jump on board at the same level.
I am curious what they do up next, and I think if you're wondering if we get 2 Medivhs, you're wondering, can ADRD play both Abathur and Medivh at the same time? Probably not going to happen. We're going to find out what compositions we have next from Octalysis. If we see if they can take a 3-0, we'll be right back.